Hi everybody, I'm Amanda and I'm going to be going over Module 2, Activity 1, Hello World today. So some materials that you'll need are your Lunasat, a computer with the Arduino IDE installed, an FTDI, your Lunasat wires, a USB cable, and the Activity 2.1 worksheet called Hello World. And the code that you'll be using is actually code that you'll write on your own. And just an overview of this activity, you're going to be creating a new Arduino sketch. You're going to be setting the baud rate, printing Hello World. You're going to learn how to comment your code, verify your final code, and upload your test code. And now we're going to create a new Arduino sketch. So you're going to go to File, New. Then once you have a new file open, you're going to save this. And make sure you save it to a place that you can remember and locate easily. So I'm going to name this Glee. Oops. M1. So now that we have that saved to a good location, we're going to move on to the next step, and that is setting the baud rate. So you want to do this in the void setup section because that means that it's only going to run once, which is what we want for this part of the activity. So in the void setup section, you're going to type serial.begin 9600. And this is setting the baud rate. And this baud rate of 9600 means that it's going to transfer 9600 bits per second. Next up, still under the void setup section, because again, we only want this to run once, you're going to type serial.println to print a line. And this should say hello world. Don't forget that semicolon at the end to show that the line has ended. And next step, we're going to comment our code just so we know what each line does. And the comment symbol in Arduino is this double slash. So we are going to say that this line sets the baud rate. And then the second line we did, we're going to comment that this prints hello world. And commenting is important, especially when you write some more complicated code, because it lets somebody else follow along or lets you go back and understand what you've written. And next, we're just going to double check that our code matches this slide. And I believe mine does, so I'm going to move on. And you should have your Lunasat plugged in from a previous module, but if not, you can go back and look at the hookup guide and plug it in for this step. And plug it into your computer. You want to make sure that you have the right port and board selected. So I'm going to go check under boards. It should be Arduino 2009 or DS-Simula. And then my port is correctly selected. And my processor is also correctly selected. So I'm going to move on. And next up, we're going to actually upload this to the Lunasat. And before uploading, it is a good step to verify the code and just make sure it compiles, but mine was correct, so it did compile. Next, we're going to look at the serial monitor. And you can see that it did in fact print hello world one time, which is what we wanted. So we've confirmed that our code is correct and functioning on the Lunasat. In the next part of this activity, we're going to actually be printing hello world repeatedly. So we're going to learn how to comment out previous code. We're going to write hello world in a loop. We're going to learn how to add a delay, verify and upload the code, and then finally verify the serial output. Okay, we're going to comment out the serial.println line up here because we no longer want this to only run once. We want it to run in a loop. So I'm going to move it down to this loop section. And adding those dashes here to comment it out means that the Arduino will not actually evaluate this and upload it to the board. It's just here as a comment for you to view. So we've added it to the loop section, so it'll print over and over. And then finally, we want to add a delay afterwards so that there is a little bit of a pause in between each time that it prints. So I'm going to type delay and then 5,000. And we type 5,000 because the delay function operates in milliseconds. So a 5,000 millisecond delay is the same as 5 seconds. And this kind of code is extremely useful if you want to blink an LED every so often and control that delay, or some other example like that. So we're just going to check that our code matches this example on the slide, and I believe it does. You should already have your Lunasat plugged in, but if not, do so now. Then I'm going to upload this code again. And it's done uploading. So it compiled, uploaded correctly. I'm now going to go back to the serial monitor. And you can see it printed hello world like it did before. And we're going to wait. And it printed again after 5 seconds. So this is working correctly. So good job, everybody. And if you had any trouble, we have some techniques to try to fix this. You can ensure that you have the correct port selected. You can check this by unplugging and plugging back in the Lunasat and watching closely which port goes away and shows up. You can also double check your FTDI hookup and your Lunasat hookup. Double check that all the wires are plugged in all the way, or you can try closing and relaunching Arduino if none of the rest of that stuff worked. So thanks, everybody. Good job.